everybody, how are you? We're going to do a little comparison today on short scale length guitars. So we're going to talk just a little bit about short scale length guitars, acoustic in this case, overall. And then also, perhaps more significantly, make a comparison between these two excellent short scale guitars. This is a Martin 00028 EC, the Eric Clapton Martin 00028 EC. And this is the Taylor AD22e from the American Dream series. So I hope you'll consider watching. Now here is the Taylor AD22e contrasted with the Martin 000. I think they're about the same size. You can check the specs on the Guitar Center or the Sweetwater website. But they're along the same lines, and you can see they both have that kind of more... Isn't that nice? my wife, Mary, what does that remind you of? Oops. But, ooh, there's Mary. But, yeah, that you can see the sizes. Let's kind of, okay, put that one over a little bit there. And can you hold them both kind of? So, yeah. Oh, there's a good shot. Okay, I would say they're pretty close to the same size, maybe not exactly. But, all right, let's make a comparison. These are two short scale length guitars. Okay, right here you can see in the front the Martin 00028 EC, and then there's the Martin HD28, which is a dreadnought. So right here we've got the 000. You can see the shape's a little different. It comes in a little bit here. It's kind of hard to, and I'm not willing to bump up that wood and risk scratching it, but you can see the shape of them is a little different. And the dreadnought's just a little bigger. By the way, this Martin has a really thick old neck. And that's called a deep V. When I got it, I thought it would be maybe this neck would be almost like a big V, but the light makes it kind of hard to tell. But you can see it's just a beautiful guitar, but it is a little smaller. Put that one down again. It's just a beautiful guitar, but it is a little smaller, and they do have a little different shape. And that's a Taylor AD22e, which is also a short scale length guitar. And you can see, I think that's even a little smaller, but you can see it's kind of along the lines of a 00028 EC. And the dreadnought there behind is bigger, and some of the size difference comes from that greater kind of a waist. Almost looks like a woman wearing a corset on the smaller guitars, and then that's filled out on the bigger ones. But that dreadnought is just an overall bigger guitar. How about playability? For playability, I'm going to give it to the Taylor. Playability. I'm going to give this Taylor a 10. And I give this Martin a 6. You know, this Martin's a little harder to play. And I noticed the action is a little bit, it's almost got those old finger bleeder screen door wire. When you get up around the 12th fret, sometimes when the strings go up a little bit off the neck, to me it can be a red flag. I don't know. Maybe some of you can explain that, but this is much harder to play. I read somewhere that the Martins tend to they kind of come out of the shop with high action. I read about that because when I got this, it was hard to play. You know, I got a Taylor 214. It's on this channel, and I reviewed it. But man, it was a hoss to play. This isn't that bad, but it's kind of a hoss to play. I mean, you know, I always read about like Mississippi John Hurt and his legendary thumb that was for thumb picking. His thumb was like a if he weren't playing Martin guitars, he could be working in some farm somewhere with like big hands. But you feel kind of like you got to really manhandle it. It's not a delicate. Now, when I got this guitar, at first I did you go back. I hope some of you will consider watching it. But I did some Christmas carols arrangements on this guitar, and I loved it, and I thought it sounded great. But I tuned it down a whole step and made it a little easier to play. Because I think it's a little easier to play. Maybe I'm just wimping out, but I think the Taylor was easier to play. So, sound. I don't know, you tell me. You know what? I don't know. You know what? I'm increasingly self-conscious because, you know, some of you might realize I film these with the cell phone, iPhone 14. I think the microphones on a cell phone can be pretty good, but I think the problem might be that you can't get good mic placement because you got your mics and your camera in one place. So wherever your camera is, there your mic shall be also, to paraphrase the good book. So, so I think that's one of the. I don't necessarily think iPhone mics are all that bad, but you know, if you're trying to get a good picture of the guitar or something, all of a sudden, mic placement, which is so important in acoustic music, recording acoustic guitar, kind of goes out the window. But I hope you can tell somewhat, and I'm going to say that the Martin sounds better than the Taylor. The Taylors I've played always play great and don't sound bad, but they can have kind of a factory sound. And you know, I think Martin always has that ability to kind of have a mellowness and clarity and kind of crispness. And, you know, crispness and mellowness are kind of opposite, and that's like a balance, a yin and yang, and Martin balances that. I always think, you know, you can hear Martin like on those old Gordon Lightfoot, like Carefree Highway and some of those songs Gordon Lightfoot did, and you can tell it's a Martin. I mean, there's no other guitar, like you listen to those some of those work he did with Gordon Lightfoot, that lead, you can tell it's a Martin. And I think Gordon Lightfoot also played a fair amount of Gibsons, but I think a lot of that lead work was all Martins, and boy, it sounds nice. And you can kind of hear it. It's just clear, and it sounds like very American. You know, I mean, it just sounds woody, and it's hard to beat a Martin for sounds. And you know something else? I'm going to make a special category, ease of use, which is kind of like playability. But here are some things about this Martin that kind of make it hard to play. First of all, these really nice Martins don't come with any pickups. So this doesn't have a pickup in it. And you know what? I don't know about anybody else. I don't want to put a pickup in here. you know. And this thing came out the other day. Look, that thing keeps popping out. But so it has an end pin, but you know what else it doesn't have? It doesn't have a pin for the strap here. So I've been using one of these go around, and then that broke on me. One of these kind of goes around up there. And I've never really bitten the bullet, but my AD22e, I just had it done when I bought it, and I was a younger man. I didn't pay as much attention to it, but now I realize, you know, that's one of those jobs where you put a guitar strap pin right there. It's one of those jobs, maybe some people will say it's an easy job, but you got one chance to do it right, and if you screw it up, you're going to have a mad customer, and, you know, it's hard to, drilling into that wood in such a sensitive, prominent area. So I haven't ever done it, but between not having that strap pin and between not having a pickup, when I play out, this is kind of a no-brainer. Now, I sometimes do use those Woody Soundhole pickups. You've seen me, and I like those. So I'm still thinking, I'm going to go start doing some coffee house gigs. I'm going to play solo more often. I've got some nice solo songs. I like playing with other people, but sometimes playing solo, you can kind of develop your own artistry more. You're not so contingent on others, but I am going to play some solo, and I might use that Woody Soundhole pickup, but I think you lose a lot of sound quality. And this has the Expression System 2 in it. And you know what? That Expression System 2, it's got a 9-volt battery. That's another thing. You don't have one of those batteries up here. You don't have one of those little kind of watch batteries. I don't like those. I want a 9-volt. And so somewhat counterintuitively, I'm calling it for the tailor as a consumer, as sort of if I were looking at this as a guitar collector, as a guitar connoisseur, as a grown man who does love fine guitars, kind of like having a really nice Gibson or something. There's no contest that you buy the Martin. And by the way, that's the Martin. The value of that Martin is far beyond, to me, the Martin is kind of like a Steinway, piano, or like a really nice Selmer. I was in this music store the other day, and they had a Selmer. It was called a Selmer Superior, and it was $10,000. My uncle used to play sax, so I said, "What does a good Selmer cost these days?" And she said it was $10,000 for that saxophone. But I remember my uncle played saxophone a lot of years, and later in life he got a Selmer. He played another one, but it was all right. But he got a Selmer when he retired. He said it was like a game changer, just how much better he could play on that Selmer. And to me, that's a really nice Martin. It's kind of like a Selmer or a Steinway. I guess if you like, it's like having a really nice watch. I mean, everything's made on it, so all those kind of things. It's not that close. And I know Taylor's got some really nice guitars, but I don't think I'd want to. I don't think I'd be that willing to spend a lot of money for a Taylor that was really expensive, that had all the electronics in it, because I happen to think electronics make it more of a consumer piece. But like I said, if I'm just looking at, hey, what guitar do I like better in terms of, grabbing it out of the case and playing it? And even around here without the electronics, I'm going to call this one. It's easier to play. I don't think it sounds quite as nice, but definitely sounds fine, and it's easier to play. And I don't know if it's just my particular Martin is kind of a hoss, and maybe I could get set up. I've never had it set up. To me, I don't think you should. If you can tweak a guitar with the setup, but I've never been much for drastically altering a nice guitar that comes from the factory, because I think they set them up in the the Martin factory, and so if it's like way off from what you want, you shouldn't have bought it in the first place. That's always been my view. Some of you might disagree with me, because I know a setup can make a big difference. But that's a beautiful guitar, and I love playing it, and I think it sounds great. Like those Christmas carols I did, I thought they sounded really good. Now, again, those are just recorded with an iPhone mic, so I hope some of you will watch those Christmas carols I did. But somewhat counterintuitively, I'm calling the contest today for this Taylor, because it's a sweet guitar, and it's definitely one you can pick up and play. Thanks. God bless.